Welcome back to another action-packed episode of the Deadly Podcast Kung Fu, brought to you by the Villains of Man, with myself, Justin Raymer, as I traverse the world of Marvel's most prolific martial artist and Iron Fist, Shang-Chi and the White Tiger. If you want to keep up with the podcast, you can do so over on social media platforms, Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky. If you want to keep up with myself, Justin Raymer, you can do so over on Twitter, X, and Instagram. If you want to keep up with my TTRPG podcast, Last Tavern on the Left, you can do so on the same social media platforms and subscribe to the podcast wherever you subscribe to Deadly Kung Fu Pod on. Now, like I've mentioned here the last couple weeks, now it seems like every other week you're getting episodes because I've been dealing with creating my own comic, The California Cannibal. I have all of the first 6 pages completely colored. I shouldn't say color. I have the first 6 pages inked, shadowed with grays. They look great. My friends over on the Last Tavern on the Left the other day when we played, I showed them the pages. They look awesome. I'm about to get some time off here for Christmas, and I'm going to letter them. Right now, I have posted that I'm in need of a cover artist, so maybe I'll have that going next time you hear from me here at the end of the year, with the end of Undead Iron Fist and X-Avengers featuring Shang-Chi, which will be the last 2 episodes for the year here in 2025. But I'm excited. Hopefully here, right at the beginning of the year, I'll have the link up for the Kickstarter so you could save that. So when California Cannibal #1 goes live, you can hopefully support it, which I would greatly appreciate. I'm kind of thinking, I don't know if I'm going to do multiple covers or just stick with one. The idea right now is to do homage covers to movie posters for the movies that kind of inspired me during my story. So that's kind of the plan there. So I'm pretty excited about the whole process of doing all of this. But speaking of Christmas, we're doing a Christmas episode. About the only Christmas episode I can do on this podcast. And that's only because I decided to cover modern, current books that were coming out, which has really helped the podcast grow a lot, I've realized this year, so I guess that was a good choice to make. But today, we are covering Power Man and Iron Fist Sweet Christmas Annual from the 2016 run that happened after Secret Wars. They're in, I think Civil War II was going on at this time, or right after this is what they were setting up. And it's kind of sad that Luke Cage's catchphrase is Sweet Christmas, and he can't even get Christmas specials every year. And he's not in a whole bunch of them, and neither is Iron Fist. I think the only Iron Fist Christmas story I can think of that he is in, I think it's 2006 holiday issue where there's like Ultron claws and he attacks the New Avengers. And I don't even remember if Luke is in that issue. It's been a long time ago. And then here recently in the Spider-Man holiday special, Shang-Chi was in it. Makes a pretty good joke about Spider-Man, or like he's wanting to get away from him. I've posted that here recently. So not a lot I can cover for the holidays here in regards to Christmas, Kwanzaa, Feliz Navidad, whatever you celebrate for the holidays. This is the only issue we can do, so I'm doing it this year. So let's go and get started. The issue was released on December 21st, 2006, along with 25 other titles from Marvel. They are Amazing Spider-Man Volume 4, Number 22, Avengers Volume 7, 2.1, Black Panther World of Wakanda Volume 1, Number 2, Cage with an exclamation mark, Volume 1, Number 3. Read that series if you haven't. It's the guy, I can never pronounce his name, guy does Samurai Jack, does Primal. It's his style of storytelling, and Luke Cage fights someone that's pretty much like Dr. Seuss, and he rhymes about everything. Really good story, you should check it out. And there's like a tournament that Luke Cage is involved in with a bunch of other Marvel heroes. So there's Black Panther and Iron Fist, Misty Knight, like people, they're in the Bronze Age. The thick of the Bronze Age is what you're getting there. It's really fun. Captain America, Sam Wilson, Volume 1, Number 16, Deadpool's and Mercs for Money, Volume 2, Number 6, Dr. Alpha, Volume 1, Number 2. In the middle of this, I'm like, wait, I was just talking about 2005, 2006. I was like, none of these issues are from then. Oh, duh, this is a 2016 book. And I just realized that's because I wrote it down as 2006. Anyways, Doctor Strange, Volume 4, Number 15, Gamora, Volume 1, Number 1, Invincible Iron Man, Volume 4, Number 2, Mighty Captain Marvel, Volume 1, Number 0, Occupy Avengers, Volume 1, Number 2, Patsy Walker, a.k.a. Hellcat, Volume 1, Number 13, Punisher, Volume 11, Number 7, Silver Surfer, Volume 8, Number 8, Solo, Volume 2, Number 3, Spider-Gwen, Volume 2, Number 15, Squadron Supreme, Volume 4, Number 14, Star-Lord, Volume 2, Number 1, Thanos, Volume 2, Number 2, Ultimates 2, Volume 2, Number 2, man, it's a lot of 2s. Unbelievable, Gwenpool, Volume 1, Number 9, Uncanny X-Men, Volume 4, Number 16, and wrapping up the list is Venom, Volume 3, Number 2. Your creative team for the story is David Walker as your writer, Scott Hepburn as your penciler and inks, Matt Milla as your colorist, Clayton Cowles as your letterer, and Jake Thomas and Kathleen Wisniewski as your editors. Got a ton of covers, great covers for this book. The main cover is by Jamal Campbell, which sees Iron Fist and Luke Cage high-fiving maybe a mall Santa for charity. Some thugs beat up, nothing to do with the book. We've got one where both of the heroes are exchanging presents. One is like a pajama pair of old Power Man attire and some iron supplement. Funny. That is done by Trevor Von Eden. The next cover is both of them making snow angels, and oddly enough, Iron Fist makes a snow angel of his tattoo. It's a great cover. It's done by Chris Antka. Nothing to do with the book. Now, Scott Hepburn, who does all the art for the book, did his own cover, which has Iron Fist and Luke Cage looking at one of these toys called Scrunkies that are in the issue. It's the only one that has to do with the book, but all great covers for this book. It's a great story, and let's just go ahead and dive on into it. Thanksgiving night, 11:45 p.m. Toyverse, the exclusive 24-hour store that is home to the new Schnunkies, I'm going to mess that up a lot during this, is set to make its grand opening at midnight. Gustav Sibyl, the owner, stands outside the doors giving a live interview. Despite his promise to sell happiness, the reporter questions if he's ruining the Christmas spirit with such a claim. He refutes such claims, saying, unlike every other store, Toyverse celebrates all the winter holidays and supports those who do so. He ends his interview by reminding everyone the store will be open 24/7 until Christmas Day, so everyone can get their Scrunky, whatever they're called. Christmas Eve, 11:45 p.m., 1 month later. Luke, Danielle, and Danny wait outside Toyverse to get inside. Despite Iron Fist trying to explain the Schnunkies to Power Man, he doesn't get the hype. But all that matters to Heroes for Hire is the look of excitement on the little girl's face to find herself inside and surrounded by the toys. As Uncle Danny runs through Toyverse with Danielle, Luke's phone rings and it's Jessica Drew. She's having trouble with her son Gary and needs some help. To his surprise, she's approaching right behind him as he hears the baby crying. While the three heroes and the children are occupied, other shoppers begin fighting with one another. The one person who sees it all is a beardless Santa Claus with a golden trident. As he inspects one of the Scrunky toys, this odd person realizes something is very wrong with them. As the two reveal themselves to each other, they clash and turn out to be Krampus and Damion Hellstrom. Shoppers flee from their energy blast as the Scrunkies turn into small demons that begin to attack them. Defending their own children against a swarm, Heroes for Hire and Spider-Woman leap into action, but Krampus gets away. None are too happy to see the son of Satan, but he explains 100 years ago Santa stopped Krampus. Since then, neither has been seen. While Saint Nick was presumed dead, the Christmas demon has been plotting to use modern technology to take over the world. Using Toyverse as his gateway to hell, Krampus sends his demons across New York to gather souls that oppose the city's heroes. Knowing only one way to bring the demon to them, Damon openly challenges Krampus to the territory. He and the Scrunkies ambush the son of Satan, laying him low and confronting the heroes. As the minions swarm them, Luke and Danny hand Danielle to Jessica as a defend of three. Just as they become overrun, Santa Claus appears to free them from the Scrunkies. Using his magic to take them out en masse, Power Man and Iron Fist leap towards Krampus and defeat the demon with a combination of pure power and chi. With the demon defeated, Saint Nick apologizes for being absent for so long, but it was the only way to draw his evil counterpart out. Admitting that he's not perfect and all-powerful like most believe, Santa Claus drags Krampus to his sleigh to be taken from the mortal realm. As he does, the heroes are stunned to discover Saint Nick is real and they helped him save Christmas. So this is a great story. I love this story. I think this is what a Christmas story should be in the world of Marvel. It has the feeling of Klaus, if you've ever read any of those Christmas stories. I do believe Grant Morrison writes Klaus. That's what the internet is for. So we're going to go Klaus, Grant Morrison. Yep. And Dan Mora. Great series. Read all of those. It's a perfect thing to read for Christmas. You'll love those stories. But just in regards to this feeling like Klaus in this story, I would like to see more Krampus as a villain in Marvel stuff, holiday stuff. I really like the way this was portrayed, especially with Damion Hellstrom. I love the Son of Satan. My favorite thing about this book, though, is seeing Danny be the father figure. In this book, you know, when it opens up to Christmas Eve, it's him and Luke. We got Danielle, Luke's daughter, sleep on his shoulder. And, you know, and we get these flashbacks to Danny explain the Scrunky craze to Luke. And him and Jessica Jones are, like, watching Danny play with Danielle, the game and whatnot, because these are kind of like Pokemon. They've taken over Pokemon, is what they say in the beginning of this book. And I love that because, like, even when they get in the store, because Luke is a little overwhelmed, Danny even runs off with Danielle, and they're, like, singing the Scrunky song. Like, and I love seeing this side of Danny, and like, this all started a couple years before this with the Living Weapon series and Pay, and we really see him turn into that father figure there. And what really gives me hope with those is the fact that we're about to get the Deadly Hands of Kun-Lun here in the beginning of 2026 in February, where we'll have Danny Pay and Lin Lee, and a lot of us fans, and I know because I've talked to you online, like, Danny needs to be a father figure to these two, and that's what I love about this book. And hopefully, even if he returns to his mortal state after Undead Iron Fist, we don't know what's going to happen here at the end of the year. Like, if he's around, like, he needs to take on that father role. They can be the Iron Family. I've always said ever since Lynn showed up and became the Iron Fist and we had Pay, like, why are they not like the Bat Family? You know, Danny is clearly the martial arts version of Bruce Wayne with all the orphans underneath him. And I guess, yeah, even they both are orphans now that I think about it, because, well, Danny was an orphan too. So, yeah, we need that. He needs to be that father figure. And you know what? Her father needs is a good woman in his life. And Jessica Drew returns to this book. And a lot of people probably don't know this, but back in the New Avengers run by Bendis, the very first one, there was this tease of a romance between Danny and Jessica in the... what is that book called? Comics, The Marvel Way. There's an untold New Avengers story there, which kind of talks about the romance of Jessica, Drew, and Iron Fist. Apparently, it's in the New Avengers Volume 2 Omnibus that just recently come out. And they kind of explore that romance. And a lot of us want that, even though we're kind of all hinging on the idea of a Chun-Li from Street Fighter and Danny Rand romance. And there's kind of like a 4-page spread in that how to draw or how to make comics the Marvel way. And according to Omar from I Am Iron Fist, I don't have the omnibus, but he reported that it's in there because we've all thought it was canon, and I guess that makes it canon. So yeah, and here they are. I know she's got Jerry. Danny obviously has no issue fathering children that have no father or just need, you know, a man in their life to help guide them and love them. He would take care of Jerry and love him no different than Pay and Lynn and Danielle. So, like, these two need to get back together at some point. Probably will never happen. But I know there's those Iron Fist fans out there that want that wish we would have got more of that back in the mid and late 2000s. Now, one thing that comes up with this issue, and I've been thinking about this recently because we're talking about Danny and kids, is the sliding timeline and how that really has affected both Danielle in this book, Luke Cage's daughter, and Pay, for that matter. So, because we had the Iron Fist 50th anniversary last year in 2024, which Danny died because the Chi-Lin possessed Razor Fist and killed him. I'm sure you've all read that by now. So we have learned between that book and Immortal Iron Fist number 17 from 2008, that whole span of Marvel, 17 years, is 1 year. And that's the whole thing about comics. Yes, I know you just gotta let it slide. Time slide. That's why they have the whole thing out with Marvel. But in that time, a whole year. So we've seen Pei be a small girl to like a young teenager of like 12, 13. Danielle Cage made her first appearance like a year or two, maybe before the Immortal Iron Fist series. It was during Pulse. So maybe 2005, 2006 is when Danielle was born to Luke and Jessica. So in this book, in Sweet Christmas, she's like 4 or 5 years old as a child. Like, she's speaking full sentences. You can have a conversation with her. So in a year's time, that's how much she has grown. And it's impossible. But like, if you look back at Timeless Power Man, I can remember like she's small because she says "Dada" to Luke Cage in that book, 616 Luke Cage, not Timeless Luke Cage. So the timeline has really screwed with not only her based on this book, and Pei itself, and that whole thing is just extremely weird. Like, she has aged 5 years, which would make more sense than the whole sliding time scale, or technically she would be a 1 year old, maybe a little older than that. So it's one of the things you just kind of got to push away and ignore, because canon says she should be a little over 1 year old, but what we see in the books, depending on what book you're reading, that might be right, or she's probably a kindergartner. And it's just one of them things you're just like, oh man. But hey, you just, like I said, sliding time scale, you just kind of got to ignore it. Now, we do get Damion Hellstrom, the son of Satan. I don't love him, even though it sometimes Hepburn draws him like he's super jacked, like really, really jacked. Kind of like is that from Lady in the Water, where the guy just works out with one arm and one of them is like super big, and you kind of get that. But I do love that he's in this story. This is a story that fits him perfectly. I wish he would have been around a lot more. But I love, like, the lore that he brings to this. Like, hey, Santa Claus and Krampus, have been mortal enemies. They've always battled each other 100 years ago. They had a fight. Santa defeated Krampus, but he's always been presumed dead, and no one has seen him. And which kind of gives into the idea that, like, modernization has taken over Santa Claus. He's not real, and here's the reason for it. And it works out really well, and I like it. And, he continues to bring on the lore, and Krampus has left Toyverse. He's opened up the mouth to his hell. And I like that it explains that there's multiple hells. Krampus has his own hell, or he drags children's souls to. And I thought that was really cool. That kind of adds to the mystique of all the hells. Like, Mephisto has his own hell. Hela has her own hell. I know there's the hell in Wolverine Goes to Hell with that demon, whatever it was called. So I thought that was really cool. That was more lore that we're adding to the mystical side of Marvel that I love. But I love this bit where they're like, he decides, like, hey, the only way we can get him is he thinks this is his realm, and if we challenge him, he's bound to show up. By, like, the laws of hell, he has to show up and take the open challenge for his domain. And I like that he calls him out, and Luke and Danny and Jessica are like, you're freaking crazy. But he does it anyways, and then Krampus kind of smashes him. Which is odd, because Damion Hellstrom should be pretty powerful, but I guess we are talking about a rule of hell here. And, I would assume that he is kind of like a higher level devil or demon. And maybe that's just not the case. But I like all the lore that he brings to this story in regards to the time of Christmas and Santa and Krampus. And we don't ever explain that the type of mystical creature Santa is. And it's even interesting. And probably needs to be explored a little bit more. Maybe I should read some more holiday issues, and it is, but I don't think so. I think this is the last time that Santa Claus was used like this in a story, especially one that comes to mind. But overall, man, this is a great story. And this is kind of, I get back to the sliding timeline, is like, you can't really do a Christmas story every year if we're talking 17 years of Marvel Comics is 1 year based on the Iron Fist timeline. Even though we just did another Christmas with the Marvel Holiday Special that I wrapped up that had the Avengers and had Shang-Chi in it. So it gets really wonky. But I don't care about that. Like, every year I think we need a Christmas story. And let's not just do all Marvel's big characters. Like, let's have some other people time to shine. Usually Spider-Man is in everything. The X-Men are in everything. The Fantastic Four and everything. Now, Heroes for Hire here, this is the only time they ever get a shot for it. And this book is almost a decade old. So, and like I said, Luke Cage says Sweet Christmas. He should have a Christmas special every year. Or maybe it only makes it special when they get him every now and then. But it's been 10 years, so it's time for a Christmas special. I think that's only fair. But that'll wrap up this episode of the Deadly Podcast, Kung Fu, brought to you by the Villains Man. If you like podcasts, please follow it on social media platforms, Twitter, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Threads. If you like my music, check out Rushing Tiger by Kuro on SoundCloud and YouTube. But to everyone listening, a sweet Christmas to all, and to all, a good night.